Hello boys and girls, welcome back. So today we are going to solve a practical paper, not only the complete paper. I will try to solve one of the question that is related to the rate of reaction. Okay, and hopefully this will be a great help to solve any rate of reaction. I will try to cover all of the formats that are used in different rate calculation questions that is specifically related to the reaction of sodium thiosulfate and the reaction of any acid. Got it? So you can see this is from 9701/34 and it is from May-June 2011. But no need to worry about, because our main focus is not to concern this year but to concern or to deal with the rate of reaction. So straightforward, I'm jumping to question 2, which is related to the rate of reaction. Okay, so this is question number 2. You can see this is question number 2, and in which examiner is clearly mentioning that you are going to investigate how the rate of reaction between the following these two reactant, that is sodium thiosulfate and sulfuric acid, could be calculated or could be found. Okay, so this is related to the concentration, and you can see that these two are reacting, producing sulfur dioxide. And remember, sulfur is what? A solid, and its appearance is yellow. Because sulfur is a yellow solid. So these two are colorless solutions. These two are what? Colorless solutions. So when we mix these two colorless solution, and as a result, and the reaction proceeded to produce a yellow solid, what will happen? The appearance through the solution becomes difficult, and we will not be able to see anything through these solutions. In the beginning we can, but as the reaction proceeds, slowly the appearance will disappear. So examiner is giving you the idea. Okay, so I'm going to show you the exact situation what you have. So you can see here, this is exactly same type of the situation in your exam. You are provided with the conical flask. This is, I mean, it is your eye, and you are observing the insert or the paper given, which is placed right underneath this flask, and you are going to observe the writing on this insert through the solution. Okay, so what happened, and at the start, both the acid and thiosulfate, they are colorless. As I clearly mentioned, they are what? Colorless. So you can easily see what is underneath. So it is what? Colorless. But as the reaction proceed, what happened? The visibility start to decrease, and at the time when we can't, and when we are not able to see anything, at that point we have to immediately stop the stop clock. And note down the time measured or time taken. Now immediately discard the solution, because if the sulfur start to settle down, so in the future or in the next experiment, it will be not helping you to find out the exact time, because the amount of the sulfur stuck on these walls of the flask may decrease the visibility at the start as well. So the time taken will be fake or inaccurate. So please immediately rinse your flask as soon as you stop your stop clock. Then not to note down that time immediately, first of all rinse your flask, and then do the same or experiment that is advised by the examiner. Okay, like in this, examiner is advising all of these situations. This is the procedure. You have to follow the procedure. In experiment 1, it will be advised to use different concentration of the thiosulfate and the constant volume of the acid. Okay, so 50 centimeter cube of the thiosulfate and 10 centimeter cube of acid. In second experiment, the volume of the acid should remain constant, but it decreases the concentration of the thiosulfate from 50 to 40. And to make the total solution exactly the same, he added 10 centimeter cube of the distilled water. So you can easily understand that when we add 10 centimeter cube of distilled water, it will decrease the concentration of the thiosulfate. It will decrease the concentration of thiosulfate, but the total concentration remains same. Why we kept the total concentration, total volume of the solution, total volume of the solution same? Because that will help to keep the depth of the solution in the flask, keep the depth of the solution inside the flask constant, and so that the measurement remains the same, the depth remains same, so the visibility from above side should remains the same. So please keep that in mind why we are going to take, because we are going to observe through, so the depth remains same. If the depth changes, it may affect the visibility. So that's why we should keep the total volume constant. Next experiment, you can see we are going to properly observe the same situation. Now this time we added 35 centimeter cube of thiosulfate and 50 centimeter cube of the distilled water, and the volume of acid, that is 10 centimeter cube, remains the same. So in this way again the total volume remains the same. Is that clear? So in third, fourth you can see, and in fifth you can also see. So when we do this, because in A level you have to do it practically, so you are not given all the situation. Examiner is mentioning, like you can see, the procedure is exactly same, but the volumes are little different. In this he says that we have to take 50 centimeter cube of measuring cylinder and take 45 centimeter cube of the FB6, which is the thiosulfate, S2O3 ions that contain thiosulfate ions, into a 100 centimeter cube conical flask. But in this time he's saying beaker, 100 centimeter cube beaker. So remember, whatever the apparatus we are using, that will also remains the same, the constant. This must be kept constant, okay, because this will definitely help us or affect the time taken. As I mentioned, the depth, okay, so what the depth of the solution definitely affect measuring the time taken to disappear the marking underneath the flask or the beaker. So clearly all the instructions are given. You have to read all the instructions carefully and then perform accordingly. What is advice for you? Please do follow all these instructions. Try not to do anything that is not given in the instructions, okay. Now the main question is that he says that find out 1 over time. So first of all we are going to measure the time, and then we have to convert it into 1 over time by dividing the calculated measured time by 1, okay. So again, many of you confused how to record these measurings, or whatever you measured, how to record those. So there are two different formats, okay. So one of the format is that you have to mention everything you used. For example, you used volume of thiosulfate, S2O3 negative ion, or either you can measure that what it was. It was, I think, FB6. It may be changed in your exam, so please focus what type of the solution has the name, okay, and what is the name of that code name. If so, sodium thiosulfate could be FA1, FA2, FA3, FB1, anything. So okay, you have to focus. After that we added distilled water. So you have to mention volume of distilled water. And one more thing, you have to mention /cm cube, so the measuring should remains, okay, /cm cube. Third, we took the volume of acid. We use the volume of acid, so volume of acid, whatever the acid, or you have to mention FA1, FAB, and what number is given, what code is given, so you must have to use accordingly, okay, acid /cm cube. Next, you have to measure the time in seconds, and after that you have to do one more thing, which is 1 over time, 1 over time, and it should remain per second. Okay, so now here you can see, you can write even, and please try to format your table properly, not in my roughly position. Okay, so you can say it is experiment 1, then you have to do experiment 2, and so on. How many experiment examiner is advising, do accordingly. Okay, do as directed. Experiment 3, and as it was clearly mentioned, in the first experiment you have to take 45 centimeter cube, and as we mentioned the centimeter cube, no need to, 45.0. then the volume of distilled water was 0. Okay, the acid was 10. The total volume here, sorry, I forgot the one thing, you have to mention the total volume as well. Total volume. Okay, so total volume must be there, one more column, one more row. Okay, so you have to write total volume, and the total volume should remains the same. Is that clear? Okay, so next what we have to do, we just have to accordingly measure the time. As I'm not performing the experiment, I don't know what were the time recorded during each of the experiments, so I'm taking help from, and going to show you exactly the same thing. Like you can see, this is one of the experiment, an examiner is doing the same. There is insert, and if we are looking forward, we are looking from the top, and you can see that what is happening here, the instructions are given. So this is the format which I showed you, and this is from the past exams, so mean that format is a suitable format you may use and you can use confidently. So this is the format, you have to follow this same format which I used. And one more thing, you may convert the I write these in the rows, you may write in the columns as well. Okay, so and you keep the experiment in the rows and keep all these things in the form of columns. So whatever is suitable for you, but the format should remain the same and contains all these values, and contain all these values. Understood? Now going back, as I clearly mentioned, these are the experiment, and as I didn't perform the experiment properly in the lab, so I'm taking help from these, and you can see how much time it remains or it will take. Okay, so in the first experiment, as I said, water was 0, and you have to note down as it was advised in the above format, and you have to note down. The main concern is what time is taken and what time. So you can easily see the first experiment, the time taken was 25, 26 and 27, so 27 seconds. In the next experiment, you can see how much time it was taken, the 30, 31, 32 and 33. So one more thing, as we are adding more water, here we use the water as 10 centimeter cube. So when we decrease the concentration of the thiosulfate by taking less volume and by adding more water, the time taken for the reaction increases. Mean we can say that the rate of reaction is directly proportional to the concentration. Okay, as we decrease the concentration, the time taken, rate of reaction decreases and the time taken increases. Okay, or you can say that the concentration is, or the time taken, both are inversely related. When we increase the concentration, the time taken decreased, and when we decrease the concentration, the time taken increases. Understood? So this is the format to just give you an idea that what is actually going to be happen when you are in your lab and performing the experiment. Okay, so remember, these are the simple situations. You just have to follow all the instructions, you will find very easily. Main question, main challenge for you people was how to record the measurings, or how to record whatever you done. So this is the format which I showed you, and I showed you from previous exams, so you may follow this. You can see how beautiful and how neat and clean this table is, and try your best to do the same thing. Okay, now proceeding to the related questions that are based on these results. So he says that why was the total volume of solution kept constant? As I clearly mentioned, that so that the depth of the solution remain constant or same, and that will give us the proper idea and proper visibility. If the depth increases or decreases, definitely the rate of reaction or the time taken will be affected. So the depth should remain same. So you may write any other words that give this idea. Okay, try not to say that these are the final words. No, you may use any words that give you the idea that the depth remains constant or the same, so we can easily see the insert or the whatever written on the insert. Okay, in the C part it says it may be assumed that the rate of reaction is proportional to 1 over time. Remember, 1 over time is actually rate. 1 over time is actually what? Rate. As I clearly mentioned, rate is directly proportional. If we increase the concentration of the thiosulfate, then what happens? Rate increases. If we decrease the concentration of the thiosulfate, then rate decreases. So both are directly relation. Okay, but the time taken is inverse relation. Remember that. Then draw the conclusion from your result about the relationship between the concentration of sodium thiosulfate used and the rate of reaction. So I already mentioned there is direct relation. Okay, or you can write both are directly related to each other. Understood? Or any other words that give this idea. Then in D part it says, in the 4 experiment, which value of the time measured had greatest error? So remember, there are 2 ways. Okay, like if we choose any concentration, because it is not purely our choice, okay, but if we choose anything and the change happened immediately, and will not give us proper idea when the what we are observing from the flask or from the beaker to this page, okay, through there. If the time taken was very short, so we can't decide what and when actually we have to stop the stop clock. Okay, so mean there is a chance that when the change happens so quickly, or there is a chance when the change taking place more time, take more time. So when it take more time, we will be reluctant, we will be tired of just observing from above. So there is a chance that we neglect that point when exactly we have to stop our stop clock. So 2 of the things, any words you may use, I'm not going to write because there is a chance. If you can say very short time, that will be or that may cause the greatest error. Or if the time taken for measuring or for disappearing is more, the time taken is more in disappearing the mark, that will also lead us to the greatest error. Understood? So any from these 2, so you can say if change takes place very quickly, that will cause error, greatest error. Or if, so you may write any one, if change takes place in over the very long time, over very long time period. Okay, so both will cause error, but you have to write any one. Understood? Next, he says that how could the procedure be adopted to find the effect of changing the concentration of acid. So now you have to change, like I'm going back and to the to the table which we recorded. You clearly mentioned that here we are keeping the concentration of the acid constant, but now and changing the concentration of thiosulfate. So now you have to do this in a cross way. Keep the concentration of thiosulfate constant and change the concentration of acid by adding more volume of the water or less volume of the water. Okay, so what you are going to say, you have to say keep the concentration of thiosulfate constant and change the concentration of acid. Keep concentration keep concentration of thiosulfate constant and but change the concentration of acid using distilled water. Mean the procedure exactly remains the same, but we perform different experiment, keeping the concentration of thiosulfate constant and changing the concentration of acid in each experiment. So the question is finished, and remember, you may have to draw the graph from the result you obtained. There is a chance examiner may ask you to draw, like I show you from the previous exams, okay, like these previous exams, or you can see here, examiner may ask you to plot all the results you obtained, okay, of 1 over time. Here it is time taken because this is from the lower level, okay. So examiner may ask you to plot 1 over time, okay, 1 over time, again the concentration, changing concentration of the thiosulfate. Understood? So plotting the result, conducting or then drawing the smooth line or smooth curve, you will have more marks. And from the work out of on the graph paper, you may work all these out and you can get the answers. Examiner may ask you that which factor we must have to keep constant, and there is situation like I clearly discussed that the depth should remain the same. Depth, for this we must have to keep the beaker or what we can say the conical flask of the same capacity. If we are using 250 centimeter cube conical flask, we should keep the same volume of or the capacity of the container which we are using in each experiment. Concentration of the acid, temperature at which the reaction is taking place, that also remains the same, okay, and the total volume of the solution, so that the depth remains the same again. So these are the factors you must have to keep constant to keep proper or fair competition with these results and with these reactants. So these are the simple situations. Now hopefully you understand that how to do these rate of reaction questions, and hopefully if you never understand, if you never didn't get anything, you can ask me in comment section, okay. So I will definitely try to answer as soon as possible. Wish you all the best for your exams, for your preparations, and inshallah I will try to upload next video related to the color titrations, and I will try to also post a video related to the identification of ions, inshallah, okay, in our in future, soon before your May-June exams. So keep connected, and if you have any query, any question, you may ask. No need to worry about, okay. Wish you all the best for your exams. Take care of yourself.